In today's video, we'll look at 5 of the world's most costly and ridiculous construction mistakes. Did you know that Mexico spent $6 billion on an airport that has never seen a plane take off? And that a flaw in the design resulted in the collapse of a bridge nearly the size of the Golden Gate Bridge? Do you have any knowledge of any other projects that may have gone even worse? Number 5. Oroville spills over. In 2017, America's largest dam caused some concern. The Oroville Dam on the Feather River in Northern California was built to supply water, generate electricity, and, ironically, control floods. However, it was later discovered that the dam, which was 50 years old at the time, was no longer well maintained and was no longer suitable for flooding. During California's wettest winter, this became a major issue. By February 2017, heavy storms had overflowed the river to 150% of its capacity, and the water level in Lake Oroville continued to rise, whereas normally the water at the dam's bottom is released directly into the river. In extreme emergencies, the main spillway can be used to relieve the dam at a certain water level. Water can even be released over the lake's edge. However, since the dam's opening, as more water accumulated, the operators were forced to use the main spillway to relieve pressure. However, a short time later, they noticed a strange pattern in the water flow, and upon closer inspection, they discovered a major problem. The foundation and concrete were badly eroded and beginning to give way. Proposals to upgrade the dam's spillways had been rejected years before, and the operators were unaware that the spillway's condition was this bad. Due to the massive water masses, what would normally be a minor issue became a major one. However, as the water level and pressure continued to rise, more workers began to prepare the emergency spillway's opening by removing all trees on the hillside. Only a few hours later, they were forced to open the emergency spillway for the first time in the dam's history. As millions of gallons of water flooded downstream, they decided to evacuate 188,000 people from the area right away. Thankfully, water levels began to fall a week later, allowing residents to return home. In total, over $875 million was spent to repair the 2 spillways, a project that took over a year to complete. Number 4, Tacoma Narrows Bridge. For this particular project, we're going back in time to the 1940s, where the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was completed, connecting Tacoma to the Pit Stop Peninsula. It was the world's 3rd longest suspension bridge, trailing only the George Washington Bridge and the famous Golden Gate Bridge. However, the first issues arose during construction, when in windy conditions, the deck began to move vertically, earning it the nickname Galloping Gertie from the construction workers. To reduce the sway of the bridge, some countermeasures, such as hydraulic buffers, were installed. The bridge was finally opened to the public on July 1, 1940. However, these measures were ineffective, and the bridge's swaying attracted increasing public attention. Some people avoided the bridge and took a longer route, while others traveled to Tacoma to see the spectacle. Only 4 months later, what many had predicted occurred due to high winds. The bridge began to sway. However, unlike usual, the swaying became increasingly severe, and the bridge completely collapsed into the water below. Fortunately, no one was hurt because the issues had been known for some time. The engineers in charge of building the bridge quickly discovered that their construction method was completely flawed. The bridge quickly became known as the most dramatic failure in bridge engineering history, with no support system to keep it in place. Engineers realized that the entire bridge construction industry needed to be upgraded. 10 years later, Washington opened an updated Tacoma Narrows Bridge with a web truss. That version is still in use today, even after 70 years. In 2007, the state built a parallel bridge with 4 lanes for eastbound traffic and 4 lanes for westbound traffic. The bridge cost more than $786 million to complete with all of its additions. Number 3. Mexico City Texcoco Airport. President Enrique Peña Nieto of Mexico announced in September 2014 his plans to build the largest infrastructure project in Mexico in over 100 years. Yes, New York Governor Federal wants that one-way open. The International de la Ciudad de Mexico, the Texcoco Airport, needed to expand to accommodate the growing number of passengers passing through it. It was supposed to be Mexico's new international airport, replacing the most popular airport in Latin America, Mexico City's International Airport. President Peña Nieto intended to build the airport in phases, with the first completed in 2020 and the last in 2065. The airport was supposed to have 6 runways and hold up to 125 million passengers per year by the end of the project, making it one of the largest in the world. The project was estimated to cost slightly more than $13 billion. This, however, meant that Mexico would have to borrow billions of dollars in interest-bearing loans to fund the project. Only 4 years later, in 2018, the new president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, stated unequivocally during his campaign that the airport project would be cancelled. There were allegations of corruption and cost overruns in the project, according to him. But more importantly, the airport was being built on sinking land. All of this justified the airport's closure, and President López Obrador stated that it would be much cheaper for Mexico to close Texcoco Airport and build a new, smaller airport. Following a national referendum that revealed an overwhelming rejection of the new airport, the decision was made to halt construction. Construction was nearly 30% complete at the time, and it was later revealed that Mexico lost over $16 billion by scrapping the airport in favor of the Texcoco Airport. Mexico is now building a much smaller airport on an Air Force base. This new concept will cost an additional $3.6 billion and will carry approximately 20 million passengers per year when completed in 2022. Number 2 is the Vdara Hotel Las Vegas, also known as the Death Ray Hotel. The Vdara Hotel in Las Vegas first drew attention in 2010, when guests began to report that they were leaving the hotel with severe sunburn after visiting the pool. The hotel's curved design. It had the same effect as holding a magnifying glass in the sun. During the day, direct sunlight would hit the pool, heating it to more than 42 degrees Celsius. Customers began to complain about the sun's ability to singe their hair and leave harsh burns across their bodies. It was even hot enough near the pool to melt plastic. To resolve the issue, to keep people from overheating, they decided to place a collection of large blue umbrellas near the pool. As an added precaution, they wrapped the building in a protective film. However, some hotel guests report that the heat is still quite intense, even if it isn't as harsh as it used to be. However, the story does not end here. The same architect designed the London walkie-talkie, which we featured in part 1 of this series. To demonstrate the heat, the curved glass facade of this building melted parts of cars on the opposite sidewalk. On the street, this reporter even fried an egg. They later spent around $14 million to install a sunshade. In 2008, California high-speed rail was ranked first. California's state legislature and residents approved plans to build the California high-speed rail system. After 12 years of planning, the bullet train was supposed to run from the Bay Area to Southern California, cutting travel time between major cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. The project was originally estimated to cost $68 billion, but the White House ended up giving the state a little more than $6 billion to help fund it in 2010. Construction began in 2015, but was quickly halted. 3 years later, former President Donald Trump requested that California return the funds to the White House, which Governor Gavin Newsom refused. The rail was supposed to be finished in 2020, but it was repeatedly delayed due to mismanagement. Despite the fact that the team that worked on the high-speed rail line has since been expanded, poor management and a variety of other issues have resulted in the project being more than a decade behind schedule. Do you have any knowledge of any other projects that may have gone even worse? If you enjoyed this video, please let us know in the comments section below. And please like and subscribe to our channel.